When he pushed me, the plate fell and shattered on the kitchen floor. The sound was sharp, quick, then silence. But inside me, something cracked too, and that sound never stopped. My name's Maria. I live in a small house on the edge of town, not rich, not poor, just surviving. 3 bedrooms, 2 kids, 1 tired marriage. The kind of life that looks fine from outside but feels heavy when you're living it. People say our neighborhood is nice. They mean it's quiet until the gossip starts. Here, curtains move when you walk by. Smiles are friendly, but questions always have teeth. My husband, Daniel, lost his job during the layoffs at the factory. We thought it would last a few weeks. It's been 2 years. Now he works part-time at a hardware store and drinks the rest of the time. Every argument starts with money and ends with silence. The walls hear everything, but they never talk. Our daughter, Sophie, just turned 17. She used to laugh all the time. Now she barely talks. She says she wants to leave this town, go to college, be someone. I pray she does before this house swallows her too. My son Michael moved in with his wife, Emily, last year. At first, she was sweet, always texting me, calling me mom. Now she only messages when she wants something. When they visit, I can feel her eyes scanning the house, the cheap curtains, the old sofa, the unpaid bills on the counter. I see the judgment, the pity. It hurts more than words. Last Christmas, she told everyone that I need help keeping things clean. She said it like a joke, but I saw the smiles, the kind that slice you open. Danielle laughed too. And I laughed along, because what else can you do when your whole life is a show? Our neighbor, Mrs. Green, is always watching. She pretends to care, brings muffins when she wants information. Last week she asked, everything okay at home? I said yes. The next day she told another neighbor, Maria's husband's been drinking again. I never told her that. But somehow, everyone always knows something, or thinks they do. Then came the day of the push. Emily and I were in the kitchen. I told her not to speak to her husband the way she did. That anger only makes things worse. She smiled, then shoved me just enough to make me lose balance. The plate fell, the noise echoed, but I didn't scream, because I knew what would come next. Her tears, her lies, and my silence. When Michael came home, she cried in his arms. Your mom slipped, she said. He looked at me and I saw it in his eyes. He didn't believe me, he believed her. That night, Danielle said, you've always had problems with people, Maria. Maybe it's you. And that's when I realized the worst loneliness is when you're surrounded by your own family. The next morning I went to the store. Mrs. Green smiled at me and said, you look tired. I smiled back and said, I'm fine. Everyone's fine. But inside, something kept whispering. No one saw. But I remember. Money came later. Daniel finally got a full-time job. We bought new furniture, repainted the house, posted photos online. Everyone commented. Beautiful family. So happy for you. They only see smiles, not the cracks. Not the silence between us at dinner. Not the bruises I hide beneath long sleeves. Every family has a secret. Ours just looks prettier in pictures. And here's the truth I've learned. People don't need to see blood to know something's broken. But still no one saw. It's strange how people think money fixes things. When Daniel started earning again, everyone assumed we were finally happy. We bought a new car, a shiny silver one that everyone in the neighborhood noticed. Mrs. Green was the first to say, see, I knew things would turn around for you, Maria. I smiled, of course. That's what I do best, smile when everything feels wrong. But the truth, money only changed the noise in our house. Before, we argued about bills. Now we argue about everything else. Where to go, what to buy, who said what. The silence between us just got more expensive. Daniel started coming home late again. At first, he said he was working overtime. Then I found a lipstick stain on his shirt, not mine. When I asked, he said, don't start, Maria. Not again. That, not again, it hit me harder than the push Emily gave me months ago. Because it meant he never really believed me. Sophie noticed. She doesn't say much, but her eyes see everything. One night she said, Mom, why do you let everyone treat you like you don't matter? And I didn't know what to answer. How do you tell your child that sometimes love feels like prison bars you built yourself? Emily stopped visiting for a while after the accident. Then she came back, acting kind again, calling me Mom like before. I wanted to believe her. I wanted peace. But peace doesn't come from pretending. It comes from truth, and no one in this family wants that. One Sunday, Michael and Emily invited us for dinner. Their new apartment looked like something from a magazine. Everything white, perfect, lifeless. She poured wine, smiled too wide, and said, We're thinking of starting a family. Daniel clapped his hands proud. I just looked at her, and for a moment I saw fear in her eyes. Just for a second, then she hid it. And I wondered, does she live in silence too? That night, on the way home, Daniel said, You should be more like Emily. She knows how to keep things nice. I looked out the window and said nothing, because what's the point of speaking in a house where no one listens? The days blend together now. Morning coffee, empty words, small lies. Sometimes I catch myself staring out the window for hours watching people walk their dogs, laugh live. And I think, do they ever feel like they're disappearing too? Mrs. Green still waves from across the street. She probably tells everyone how happy we look these days. Maybe she's right. From the outside, everything seems perfect. But inside, it's just a different kind of quiet. And every night, when the house falls asleep, I whisper to myself, no one saw, but I still remember, and I'm still here.
I don't know when everything started feeling heavy. Maybe after Dad lost his job. Maybe after we moved here. Maybe it was always heavy. I just didn't notice until Mom stopped smiling. People think I don't see things, but I do. I see the way Mom flinches when someone raises her voice. I see the way Emily looks at her, the quick, cold glance when she thinks no one's watching. But I also see how tired Emily is. She's been trying so hard to fit into this family, this neighborhood, this idea of a perfect life. And I'm stuck between them, the woman who raised me and the woman I promised to protect. Both breaking, both pretending. My mom said she felt I knew she didn't. The story didn't fit. But if I had said something, everything would have fallen apart, and I couldn't handle that. So I stayed quiet. Silence, that's how men survive around here. We fix cars, mow lawns, pay bills, and keep our mouths shut. Now Emily talks about having a baby. She says it'll make things better, but how can you bring life into a house where no one breathes? Sometimes I imagine just leaving, packing up and driving until the road runs out. But then I think of Mom alone in the house pretending everything's okay, and I stay. Because leaving would make me the bad guy, and staying, that just makes me a coward.
Everyone thinks I'm the problem, that I'm cold, distant, cruel. But no one saw what it was like when I first married Michael. How his mother treated me like I was never enough. The wrong clothes, the wrong job, the wrong background. She didn't have to say it, her silence did. I grew up with nothing. My mom cleaned houses. My dad left before I could walk. When I met Michael, I thought I'd finally made it safety, stability, love. But his family made me feel like I didn't belong, like I was just visiting. The day I pushed her gut, I didn't mean to. She cornered me, said things that cut deep. Something inside me snapped. I reached out to stop her from walking away and she slipped. At least that's what I tell myself. Because if I don't, then I'm the monster they think I am. Sometimes I watch Michael when he's asleep. He looks peaceful, like the world hasn't touched him yet. And I think, he doesn't deserve this life. But neither do I. Everyone says I'm lucky. Nice husband, pretty home, new car. But what they don't see is the cracks, the whispers, the way I cry in the shower so no one hears. And now we're talking about having a baby. I'm scared, not of motherhood, but of repeating this same silence that's already eating us alive. Because no one saw the truth, and no one ever will. It was raining that night. Not a storm, just a steady, quiet rain, the kind that makes the world feel smaller. I was sitting in the kitchen, the same chair I'd sat in 1,000 times before, staring at that tiny crack on the floor, the one from the plate, the one no one ever noticed but me. Daniel was late again. Michael had called earlier, said he and Emily were coming over for dinner. I didn't want them to, but I said yes. Because that's what I do. I say yes when I want to scream no. By the time they arrived, the rain had turned into a whisper against the windows. Emily looked pale. Michael looked tired. They brought dessert store-bought, still in the plastic container. No one talked much. Just the sound of forks and plates, the ticking clock, the quiet drip of the kitchen faucet. Halfway through dinner, Daniel finally came home. He smelled like whiskey. He looked at me, then at them, and forced a grin. Well, look who's here. Family night, huh? Something in his tone made Michael tense. Emily shifted in her chair. I just kept my eyes on my plate. Then it started small words at first. Emily said something about work. Daniel made a joke that wasn't funny. Michael asked him to stop. Daniel didn't. Voices rose, chairs scraped, and then silence. That heavy, dangerous kind of silence that comes right before something breaks. I don't know who shouted first. I just remember Emily standing up, trembling, Michael trying to calm his father, and Daniel slamming his fist on the table so hard the plates jumped. The same sound again, crack. The same sound from months ago. Emily ran out of the house crying. Michael followed her. Daniel muttered something under his breath and went to the garage. And I just sat there, watching the rain slide down the window like tears the sky didn't want to hold anymore. Later, when I finally went outside, the garage door was open. Daniel was sitting in the car, head back, eyes closed. The engine wasn't running. There was an empty bottle beside him. He was breathing slow, heavy, broken. He didn't say anything when he saw me, just looked at me, then at the rain. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel fear. I just felt done. The next morning, Michael came back alone. His eyes were red. He didn't ask questions. He just hugged me long, silent, like he finally understood everything without a single word. Emily didn't come back. They say she's staying with her mother for a while. I don't blame her. Maybe she needs quiet too, her own kind of quiet. The rain stopped 2 days later. The sun came out and the crack on the floor looked smaller somehow. Not gone, just softer, like a wound that learned to live with itself. And I thought, maybe that's all healing really is, not forgetting what broke you, but learning how to walk across the cracks without falling. It's been 3 years since that night. Sometimes it feels like a dream, sometimes like it's still happening, like the echo of that crack still lives in the walls. The house feels quieter now. Michael and Emily moved to Chicago. They had a baby girl last spring. Her name's Lily. We talk on the phone every Sunday. He always asks if I'm doing okay. And I always say yes, because what else can I say? Daniel went to rehab a few months after that night. He stayed sober for a while, even started helping a friend at a mechanic shop. Then one morning, they found him sitting by the river, empty bottle, cold hands. It wasn't suicide, they said, just too much for his heart. I believed them. Because sometimes people die long before their body stops working. After the funeral, the neighbors came. The same ones who used to whisper behind their curtains. They brought flowers, food, pity. But I didn't need pity. I needed space to breathe, to exist without pretending everything was fine. I started cleaning the house one room at a time. Not because it was dirty, but because I needed to feel like I could fix something. You can't fix people, but you can scrub a floor until it shines. You can fold laundry until it feels like order. You can make coffee in the morning and know for that one moment you're still here. Sometimes, when it rains, I sit by the kitchen window. The crack on the floor is still there. Smaller, but there. I never repaired it. It reminds me. Not a pain, but a survival. Emily called last week. She said she finally understood what I meant about silence being heavier than noise. She apologized, crying, said she wished she'd believed me sooner. I told her it's okay. Because it is. We all learn too late sometimes. The other day, Michael sent a picture of Lily smiling in the park. She has my eyes, and for the first time in years, I smiled, not the kind you put on for others, but the kind that grows quietly, like sunlight through old curtains. Life didn't get easier. They'll still come. The loneliness still visits like an old friend who doesn't knock. But now, it doesn't scare me, because I've learned something simple. Peace is in the absence of noise. It's the strength to stay still when the noise ends. And when I look at that little crack under the table, I think, maybe some things aren't meant to be fixed. Maybe they're meant to remind us we survived.